I'm sitting down. Hey, Solies. I'm sitting down with a cacao. It's my first of the day in the afternoon. It's raining outside, although there's a break in the rain. And I just wanted today's episode to be like, you are literally you've come over for a cacao, but you're not allowed to talk. It's just me talking, but you've come over and we're having cacaos together. So maybe you want to pour yourself a cacao. Let's have a little heart to heart. I just thought I'd just get comfy with you guys. Like I don't have a bra on. I mean, you can't really tell, but I'm comfy. My hair is giving Monica Geller in the humidity. Oh, you can see if you're watching YouTube, my beautiful $20, can we believe, by the way, my $20 apothecary unit behind me. I don't usually, like, I've made that my whole personality because I don't usually have Facebook Marketplace wins. And that alongside my altar, can you see the table my altar's on? Hang on, now you guys can tell I'm not wearing a bra. This is rose quartz crystal, and this is pine, and it's got like engravings on it. You can't see this far away. But this one, rose quartz crystal, or the whole top of it, those two are my only Facebook Marketplace finds. Two of them in, I think, 5 years. I found them both up here. And they're both like my altars and my like witchcraft tools. Isn't that cool? Anywho, today's ep is just a little pull up, get cozy, take your bra off, and let's have a cacao together. Reason that I didn't record an episode, I swear to you, one day I will get back into that good rhythm, maybe. But I was hungover yesterday, guys. I haven't had a hangover. Gosh, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't diabolical, but I had a few drinks at Cass and Jordan's over the weekend, and I woke up yesterday and I was like, I am not talking today. So here we are. Now, what's been happening in my world? Well, I will say, I just want to acknowledge firstly that I did not do a What's the Vibe last week. Truth be told, last week's episode took me down. It might have been naivety, relaying everything about body image that came out while I was in Sydney. And obviously, if you're a subscriber, you will have listened to the big, I think it was more the subscriber episode that was the big piece that I hadn't fully wrapped my head around. I think in the moment of that experience, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and listen to that subscriber episode. Thank you for all of the outpouring of love. I just don't think I realized the delayed impact that whole experience would have had on me. And so after I recorded both of those episodes last week, I did go into a little spiral and actually felt a heap of suppressed rage, which was scary because, and I am a Libra moon, so I am someone who is familiar with suppressing anger and rage. But I genuinely believed that I had done so much work on all of the suppressed anger that I especially had. I was very angry in my postpartum, freshly postpartum. I thought I'd moved it all through, and I realized that no, 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 Holly, and I know this, but I just had to feel it last week. Like moving anger through has to be a constant practice, not just oh, I'm not feeling angry, so there's none there. I feel like I don't have a lot of fire in my chart, even though I am a Leo. I also don't have a lot in the fire houses, in like the sixth house or the ninth house. I've got no planets in those houses. And in the first house, I've got, yeah, Cancer in my first house. So it's kind of soft energy when it comes to fire. And just my Leo, but second house. So very grounded. My majority of my chart is Earth. So much earth, very little fire, actually, very little water. And the fire was building. I think that's why I have such a fiery little girl, come to think of it. But the fire was really building to a point where I sat down and after recording the podcast and did Cass's ceremony replay, the heart space ceremony for this month with Cass. And when you go to the portal of the West, if you've never sat ceremony, it's the portal of the sunset, it's the portal of closures, endings, letting go. And also, Cass and I both work with the element of fire in that portal. And so it's a very strong energy of what you're letting go of. And I sat in that ceremony and got to the West. And it was just a burning away of every single person that I've ever felt betrayed by, any person that's ever let me down. And I'm not just talking friendship, like I'm talking like my former corporate boss. I'm talking like many, like the midwife who the subscriber episode is about. I'm talking many, many people, and every one of them, one at a time in this ceremony, presented themselves to me at the fire. And I looked at them and I said, and I was saying it out loud, and I'm going to laugh because, like, I am still so uncomfortable with rage. I'll share my intention in a moment, the ceremony intention that channeled through me. But every single one of them, I stared them in the eye across the fire and I said out loud with my cacao in my hands, like, everyone thinks cacao is like this medicine to the heart. Yes. But to get into the heart, you need to process things. And so I was saying, fuck you. Oh, it feels so stretchy for me, to each of these people across the fire. And I reckon there are about maybe between 10 and 15 of them. And they just kept coming. I didn't even have to think. And I was looking at them through the flames and I was going, fuck you, and like pointing my finger and like saying it out loud, even though I had my eyes closed and making I was just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And I just kept moving it through. And it was like moving, like viscerally moving through my body. And before like the cacao ceremony starts, the actual journey, you're always invited to set an intention. And usually for me, it's just a word will come through. But the intention for that ceremony was, I need to get this right. It was to liberate the shackles of suppressed sacred rage. It was to liberate myself from the shackles of suppressed sacred rage. That was the intention that came through as I was sitting with my cacao, like, I need to move some anger through. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a big one. And so that was very strong in the portal of the West. And I was reflecting after that ceremony going, wow, I still hold a lot of suppressed anger. And it's not anger. Anger feels too tame a word. It's rage and fury. Like it is that sacred feminine fucking rage that we all have access to. And I don't have regular or consistent practices to move it through. And I don't feel it. Like I was betrayed and had some really, I laugh at that as well. Like I'm laughing as I'm saying it. This is my like, she's an air moon, like, haha. But I had some really fucked up stuff happen with friendships last year. And I know I touched on it in episodes without going too deep. And I never once cried about it. Maybe I did a little bit briefly on the podcast, but in my personal life, I was like, that's fine, onwards, outwards, like very earth of me, very like, let's get on with it, let's get on with it. And a little bit of somatic like body work around it, but I never actually felt fucking angry. And so that has kind of been almost like the experience of last weekend. It's all very Aries, isn't it? Just before we met Taurus season, it was like, Holly, you still need to look at all of this suppressed anger for many different people from many walks of life. And what I realize is actually the last 7-ish years of my life where Uranus in Taurus, my 11th house of community and friendship. So it's like textbook. Oh, of course, ending that transition in Aries season was like the final crescendo to any person who I feel wronged by. And I write about this in my first book, but where anger presents itself, anger is actually an indicator of where your boundaries have been crossed. And so this was like that journey was very much me looking at all of that anger, all of that suppression and going, I actually need to move this up and out. I don't want to carry this anymore because suppressed anger, my Libran girlies, my MCAS girlies, my suppressed, histamine girlies, we have suppressed anger. That's what it is. Like ours, the metaphysical reasoning underneath any kind of skin flare, any kind of skin condition, any kind of autoimmune reactivity, we've suppressed anger. We've swallowed it down. We've been too afraid to be the bitch. We've been too afraid to share what it is we actually want, or what our boundaries are in friendship, what our boundaries are, how we want people or expect people at the bare minimum to treat us. We've wronged ourselves for having those needs. Aries, we have needs, right? And so that's what definitely presented itself to me last week. And yet the ceremony brought it to the surface. And then it kind of took me down into what I'm really grateful that I have like the terminology for now, but it was an autistic shutdown. And so for the majority of last week, amongst parenting my little girl and feeling incredibly guilty for having very limited capacity to even leave the house, I was in an autistic shutdown. And that meant that, I did have friends visit last week and our kids played and I was able to like talk a lot. But even that was a lot of energy for anyone when you're in a shutdown. I couldn't get the groceries last week because it was just too much. And so sitting down to do what's a vibe, I was like, well, I don't even know what my vibe is. So there's no way I can actually sit and share something like that. That just felt like too hard basket. So yeah, for the majority of last week, I'm laughing because then Noah Kahan released his album, which we will talk about in a minute. But yeah, I was in this it's autistic shutdown, which, as I said, I'm grateful to have the terminology for it now. And something that I did learn in my report when I was diagnosed was when you have big energy output, which I had just had with the Sydney trip, it can take 72 hours before a shutdown or before the energy actually fully depletes itself. And obviously, I did the Sydney trip off the back of being physically unwell over Easter. And so I think it was just this compounding thing. I also had my bleed. I got it in Sydney and I like stopped bleeding yesterday. That was the longest bleed I've ever had in my entire history of having a cycle. It was 9 days. And I do think that it definitely is correlating to the remedy that I'm taking, the dog's milk remedy, which is about hormonal balancing. I've broken out. I don't know if you can see on YouTube, like the dots. I don't know why it's a bit fuzzy on my chest here. There's like acne scars. I don't break out on my chest ever, but the homeopathic remedy is definitely like rooting, like there's some roots being pulled out for me when it comes to suppression around, and this is what this remedy works on. I checked in with Liv because I'm like, I have so much rage, and she's like, yeah, this remedy is about suppressed rage, body shame, the energy of disgust with your body. So it wasn't a light journey last week for me. Yeah, just had to hermit, really. I need to take a sip of cacao. I've just spoken for I don't even know how many minutes, and I have not even, I'm like, let's have cacao together. Haven't had a sip. Give me a sec. Mm, yum. Oh, when that first hit of cacao, when that first sip hits, so good. So I can't even really recall much of what I did last week, other than Noah released his album, The Great Divide, on Friday. Did I tell you guys that I got tickets to the Sydney show? Obviously. I mean, I actually panic bought tickets for both nights. So I've got tickets for his Sydney show on the Friday, and I'm going with Jordan, Cass's partner. And then I've got tickets for the second night, and I'm in two minds. I'm like, do I sell them or do I go a second time? Anyway, I knew that that album was being released on the Friday. And this is me being autistic. And I'm not going to apologize for it, or even the other thing is, I'm not going to dilute what this sort of a thing means to me, because I've been sitting with, especially over this weekend, something about autistic or neurodivergent minds is we find great passion and obsession in the things that really pique our interests. I've said to you before, these are referred to as special interests. They're just like your passion things. And for me, part of the hyperlexia diagnosis is my intense fascination with words. So funny. If you read back in my first book, I literally break down the definition of self. Like there's so many definitions of words in my books because I'm like, let's look at where that word is rooted. And it's like, oh my God, tell me she's hyperlexic without telling me. But this is just something that I love. I just love words. I love meaning. I love deciphering meaning. If you've had a reading with me, you know I speak in metaphor in the readings. Like, and it's just, and you can see it if you're watching, like my hand is like so passionately expressed because it's like a jazz hand, because it's just something that fascinates me. Words, poetry, lyrics, it's always been a thing. And so when I find an artist like Noah who speaks to my soul, it's like I can't actually focus on anything else if he's released something new. So his album came out on Friday. I had clients in the morning, and then I put myself to bed to just basically what I wanted to do is listen to the album from start to finish with the lyrics up. It's an hour, 40-minute album, and every single song is very powerful and moving, but very depressing. And off the back of having an autistic shutdown week, I actually short circuited myself on Friday. Like, the first song I listened to, I was a blubbering mess and I couldn't get the words out to Trent to explain why I was crying so hard and the lyrics. And Trent's like, Holly, why are you doing this to yourself? And I'm like, because his album's out and I need to listen to it all right now. And I became a bit too obsessed. And so I actually like, I messaged Cass on Friday night and I'm like, I am so low and I don't know how to get out of this headspace. Like I'm laughing, but I like did it to myself. I was like watching everyone's analysis, lol, analysis. What's the plural for analysis? Says the wordplay girl. I was watching everyone analyze the lyrics and then like analyzing them myself. So it was like I was in extension 2 English. I was back in year 12 and I'm like, I need to write an essay on this. It got too much. And so I went to bed fully numb to life, woke up and went, no listening to Noah Kahan. That was on Saturday, because I just need a second to pull myself together and maybe not. I actually think I caught contagion. I think I caught energetic, emotional contagion. And I read a few comments that were saying I need to microdose this album. And I was like, great way of saying it. This is an album to be microdosed, not like binged. And that's where I messed up to start with. Anyway, then I had a reading on Saturday morning and I was in a funny headspace about this reading because she pauses for a sip of cacao. I was reading for a man. I'm going to give you guys some context. If you remember when I was talking about the East Forest tour last year, and I received an email from one of the men who was in the audience at the Sydney show. And this man was a grandfather. He was in the audience with 2 of his grandkids. And the reason he went to see East Forest is he loved listening to Trevor Hall, as do I. And he had no idea that there was going to be cacao or me to start. And he sent me an email a few days after saying that the 10-minute drop in that I did changed his entire life. He was able to connect with his wife of 40 plus years who had passed away. And we had since had a couple of emails back and forth. And I'd cried in receiving his words because I could tell this is a man, completely different walk of life to me, at least 35 years older than me, a grandfather, right? Thanking me for the medicine of cacao and the experience. And when I say 10 minutes, I'm telling you, it was the quickest drop in the world. We dropped into the earth, we dropped into the cosmos, we did a prayer for our heart. That was pretty much it. We did the heart coherence prayers. And so when he'd booked with me, and I do tend to get bookings about 6 weeks ahead, and I'd seen it come through and I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. But there was this little discomfort that bubbled up for me that went, oh, I feel uncomfortable reading for men. And I know I've shared this with you guys before, especially in the most recent experience I had reading for a man who, on second thought, the further I am away from that experience now, I realize I was reading for a narcissist. One can presume. It was just so uncomfortable for me. And so that was the most recent experience I had reading for a man. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I just don't know what I'm in for here. Like I'm used to reading for women. I'm used to reading for certain people from a certain walk of life. And this one felt very stretchy for me. And so I woke up on Saturday morning after already having my very, very flat week. And I was like, I said to Trent, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to go with this. Like, and then I'd said, I might just have to, if I'm feeling like I can't connect or if there's a blockage, I'll just end the reading and refund. Like, I just don't want to have to feel like I'm proving myself to anyone ever again after that last reading I had where I felt that that's what they were doing. I couldn't have been more wrong, guys. This reading will go down as one of the most memorable, special readings I've ever had in my history of reading. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad I did it. It made me want to cry again, just reflecting on it. Far out. He jumped on, and I don't want to give too much away about the reading itself, but basically it wasn't even how I usually do readings. He was saying, I just really wanted to be one-on-one in your energy because truly, Holly, that experience with you at the end more, oh my God. He's like, it changed my entire life. And then he proceeded to share with me all the things that had happened to him since he had that one drop in. He's like, I'd never had cacao before. He's like, I've bought it now. He's like, I want to pick your brain about how do I work with it. And so I was telling him how to make it. And I've, sent him some things that he can work with and, shared about the heart space. And, and then I really like, I realized how tapped in he is. And it turned out that that was a reading for his birthday. And so I pulled him some cards for his year ahead. He's like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. And I was able to connect in with his wife who had passed away, even though I don't actively do medium readings. Like in that situation, I couldn't not. And he shared that he's a father of three boys and he's got, 8 to 10 grandkids and he's a butcher. Like, I've, as you guys know, had a very challenging relationship with men, especially like familial, and definitely Noah Kahan's album's bringing that out. Stuff with my dad. There's a song I'll tell you guys about in a minute. It's like, oh my God, it just like hits. Oh my God, Ollie, the mascara smudge is smudging. Um, I said to him in the reading, you have given me so much hope because I know we spoke about this in last week's episode too. Like, are we all fucking furious at men right now and just being like, if you're a man, stay away from me? But this man was such an exception to the rule, and especially at his age, like he'd be in his 70s, and wanting to learn about cacao and respecting me as someone who could teach him and someone he wanted to learn from. And when I ended the reading, which was, as I said, it was half reading, but half more like him wanting to pick my brain and me pulling him some cards and just chatting about spirituality. And I said, do you feel you've gotten everything you wanted from this session? And he was like, Holly, I've gotten everything and then some. This has been the best start to my day, and I can't thank you enough. Oh my God, I'm sorry. It was like the opposite of the last reading I had with the other man. He was like blown away and so grateful. And I closed the laptop after that reading. I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, imagine a world where that as a male was not an exception to the rule. Imagine. And yeah, it just stung because what I would give to have a man like that in my life. Like that kind of, and it does make me miss my grandfathers because they were wonderful men. Had their flaws, but they were wonderful men. And it just makes me miss having that like older male figure that was safe and that like wanted to know about me. Oh my God, sorry. It's awful to say, but that's how it feels. Like genuinely interested in me, like asking questions and recognizing that I have wisdom to share and being really like respectful of that. Like it really, oh, it hit. It just was so special. It was really, really special and so humbling to be like, this man, he would never have met cacao otherwise, never worked with it. Now he's like, I'm going to do it every week. And I reckon we'll see him in the heart space. I do think we will. We're like, we'll welcome him with open arms. But there are so many of us that, and so many, like, I mean, majority of people look at what the work we do in the world. I say we collectively, because if you listen to this podcast, you are in the work in some way. And think that what we do is ludicrous or, bizarre or just silly, or don't appreciate it or prioritize it. And, I still have like friends of mine who've never sat cacao with me before. And it's not something I ever want to force anyone's hand into, but I do often wonder why. And then I have this man who's, you would never, ever, ever have picked it. And he's like, I am all in because he had that one experience and that one experience changed his entire world. So yeah, it was really special way to start the day on Saturday. And then took my little girl to dance. And in that time, Noah Khan released 4 more bonus tracks. And I was like, oh, it goes out the window. There goes my not listening to Noah Khan. So I listened to the 4 other tracks, which are, Staying Still is my favorite, my top. I was just listening to it again before jumping on. Um, oh my God, there's a line in that song. It goes, let's talk about Noah Khan now, and then I'll talk about the rest of the weekend. You could punch me in the gut and it wouldn't hurt like watching you grow smaller on the back road. Like it's a song about someone leaving and you don't want them to go. Oh, it's so good. He's so poetic. if you're a Holly as a party listener, you need to be a Noah Khan fan. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. It's just a given. You have to. Please just listen to Staying Still, okay? And then the other one I want you to listen to, especially if you have any sort of estranged family relationship. See how heavy. There's like 20 songs like this. Take your time with it. But the other one is, and the one that I was listening to in the sauna crying to this morning, I need to stop. Is Willing and Able. Oh, I'm gonna read. Okay, I'm gonna read it to you because just I read it to Trent this morning. He's like, "Can you stop?" Because he's little Pisces moon. He's like, "Nah, I don't want to hear it." And I'm like, "I need to speak this out with someone, Trent. This is my hyperfixation. Like, this is me info dumping. This is me in full blown autistic joy. I know I'm crying." But I feel so great. Like, this is genuinely autistic joy you're witnessing right now. So, like, I'm info dumping. I'm telling you everything I know about Noah Khan. I'm telling you my favorite lyrics. I'm telling you the metaphors. I could speak for hours on this. I'm not going to do that because I know you guys aren't interested that deeply. But this is what I'll be doing too. I have like a select few friends, also suspectedly neurodivergent, who I will be info dumping with, and they will genuinely want to hear what I have to say. So I'm saving all of that for them. But I do want to just, so Willing and Able. In the first listen through, I reckon I would have skipped it. And then this bit, and I heard it this morning and I went, oh no, oh no. And then all these reels I'm being targeted are like, tell me that Willing and Able isn't for the firstborn eldest daughters to divorced parents who don't have a relationship with their dad anymore. And I'm like, fuck, it's exactly it. There's the bridge. It goes like this. Oh, I wish you could know me, and I wish I could know you much more sometimes. Wish I could do nothing with you, sit in the yard while the day dies, leave it all on the table, and I'll say I love you and mean it this time. Say I'm sorry for everything else if we found a way to the other side. And then it ends, if you're willing, I'm able. Oh my God. Anyway, I just think I genuinely think Noah could be up for best. I'm not just saying this as a fangirl, best album of the year. I saw Rolling Stone gave him 4.5 stars. And for a folk album, the only other time that happened was when Folklore, Taylor Swift, and that won album of the year at the Grammys. So I reckon we're in with a shot, guys, for our Noah Khan fans. And yeah, I can't even tell you a top five because every day I'm discovering a new favorite. But I definitely do think he's written in a way that if any of you have any level of complex trauma, PTSD recovery, if you've grown up and had to say no to people in your life and like end relationships or leave a town behind, leave where you've grown up behind, like so much of it hits and rings true for me, then this album will just do things for you. And in a beautiful way because you feel recognized. Like I'm seeing all of these other people online who are like, yes, this is my experience. I'm like, gosh, you can be united in art, which just feels like exactly what this is. So I'm like proper hyperfixating. This is where I'm going to be for a while now. I won't bore you with any of the other details, but there's like so much in this. For me, that feels very therapeutic to just dive into lyric dissection, finding new metaphors. I have, as I said, a couple of friends who they're like, we'll report back in a week with our top five and we can discuss. So that's like genuine joy for me. I know you guys have seen this with me do it with Taylor Swift, but yeah, Noah Khan is up there. And I'm telling you, that duet with the two of them, it's coming. I reckon it's already happened. I reckon it's already done. I think it's just a matter of time. I think what he'll end up doing is what he did with Forever, and he'll re-release some of the songs as duets, and Taylor will be on one of them. I don't know which one yet. I'm down for your fan theories. Okay, super cacao break. So then on Saturday, we went over and stayed at Cass and Jordan's because they were meant to go on Easter, and that was when I was really sick. So we made up for it this weekend, and did we make up for it? My goodness, I have not had drinks, like consecutive drinks in, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. I have like a one-off every now and then, like every like 3 or 4 months. And I'm not anti-alcohol, by the way, guys. I just have never been a big drinker. I'm sure I've spoken about this in the past, but I'm not like I love a cocktail. I love a sipper, like a Negroni or a margarita. Margaritas are not a sipper, but like a Negroni. And, I was in my whiskey era with Trenny for a bit there. We went and saw 7 distilleries in 6 days in Scotland that time. You guys remember that? And I did a whole episode of my old podcast on whiskey distilling because she didn't realize she was autistic, but I was like, everyone needs to know. God, who's been around since then? Because that was like peak, peak Holly. That was Saturn return Holly. Anyway, so yeah, I randomly drink, especially since I have realized I have this MTHFR gene mutation and it's harder for my body to detox. But after last week, I was like, you know what I need? I need to have some margaritas by the fire with my best friends, watching the stars, talking about life. And that's exactly what we did. And it was so great. It was so fun. Like the kids were just amazing. They're at an age where they were like, the rain was pouring down. They were jumping on the trampoline in the rain. I was watching them going, this is core memory stuff. And we just had delicious food and just chatted until I say late at night. I went to bed at 10:30. It wasn't that late. It was great. It was such a good night, but I definitely did feel it yesterday. We got up and came home and we're both very dusty. So Trini and I took turns at napping. But I've woken up much fresher today. And I just think there are those moments in life where you need to let off steam. And God, me letting off steam with 3 margaritas is not the way I let off steam 10 years ago. Let me tell you, there was very different definitions of letting off steam. That was a very tame letting off steam this weekend, but it was enough. It's just what I needed. And I woke up definitely feeling reset. I also do think that Uranus moving out of Taurus into Gemini, a weight has been lifted. I did want to talk about that because we didn't get a vibe check last week. So basically, I'm sure you've seen all of the content online. I don't need to tell you exactly what this means or what happens. I'll just talk it through my own personal experience because let's talk about me. But I have felt, given that Uranus was in a fixed sign, right? So Taurus is a fixed sign. Any other fixed sign felt that the most the last 7 years. So we're looking at Taurus, and the opposite sign of Taurus is Scorpio. And then the other 2 fixed signs are Leo and Aquarius. And so that's why you've been seeing all of these signs, those 4 fixed signs, you're about to enter the best years yet, because the last 7, pretty fucking hectic. And that doesn't mean they haven't been hectic for everyone. It depends on where Uranus moved over your chart, what houses, right? As I said, for me, Taurus rules my 11th house of friendship and community. I look back on the last 7 years. Oh my gosh, yes. Especially it's like the last year in particular really wrung me out to dry when it came to friends. It's like, Holly, you're not getting the message. You need to clear these people out of your life. And if you don't do it, we'll do it for you, because Uranus is about to move out of the 11th house and you're not going to have that experience to do a big rinse out of your friendships for a long, long time. I genuinely think that's what was happening and why it was so intense for me last year. And what I was reflecting on for me the last 7 years was, yeah, this fixed sign, tense energy. It would have been squaring my sun. So just a lot of, I think it would have been a square to my sun. I might have got that aspect wrong. But it was just a lot of intensity over the last 7 years. And I mean, yeah, I became a mother. We moved up here. We bought our first house. I went through all the mold illness stuff. I lost a lot of friendships. I lost my entire identity and needed to build myself from the ground up again. I am absolutely not even close to the person I was 7 years ago. So we had just gotten married. So I'd just done my Saturn return. Oh my gosh, like worlds apart. I'd written both my books in those 7 years, did a lot of people pleasing stuff, like so much, so much. And so I have physically felt, and it could be placebo, but I genuinely don't think it was. It's almost like the way to end, at least for me, Uranus moving out of my 11th house and Uranus moving out of Taurus, like it was Trent's birthday last week. Another reason we got together with our friends was actually spending time with friends who are like family, looking at the stars, having a drink, having a fun time. It's like, oh, we got to say goodbye to that. And Cass being an Aquarian, like we had 3 fixed signs out of the 4 adults were there in that house. Plus, yeah, one of the kids. So yeah, I felt that lift. So for me, I have Uranus moving over my 12th house and my Gemini ascendant. My Gemini rising, it will move over my ascendant at the end of this transit, because my Gemini rising is like 24 or 25 degrees. So it's at the end of the transit. But I'm really curious about Uranus over the 12th house. The 12th house being connection to the cosmic realm, spirit, mediumship, telepathy. I genuinely feel like my spiritual gifts are just going to be on fucking tap. And then that's going to be amplified through the way that I present in the world. And it's funny because just to kind of circle back to the autistic chat in today's episode, I just randomly felt to share about my Noah Kahan being a special interest, and that's why I'm sharing about him more in my stories, and this is why it matters to me. And I use the word autism in the written. I hadn't done that yet in my stories. I don't know if you guys have been like if that had been obvious. I'd said neurodivergent, and there's something that feels a bit softer in saying you've got ADHD than autism. I think ADHD is a little bit more understood, maybe more commonplace or maybe more palatable. I do think there's a bit more stigma around autism. So I'd actually never used the autism word written in my stories yet. And I did it today without even second thought. And then, did face to camera conversation around Noah Kahan as a special interest, lyrics as a special interest. And I do think that's likely where a little bit more of my voice is going to go, not in being an advocate at all for any sort of neurodivergence, but just me sharing my personal life experience in a more honest way on things like my stories, where in the past, even like a few months ago, I was like afraid of what people might think or say, that I'm jumping on a bandwagon or that I don't appear autistic enough or whatever the thing is. And it's like, actually, that's because I'm so good at masking. What happens when I take that mask off? What happens when I actually info dump about Noah Kahan lyrics and say, these are my favorites and this is where I've been and I've been in a like burnout shutdown and this is why? It's like, what happens when I take that mask off? And actually, interestingly, speaking this out, Gemini is the wearer of masks. And when you have a Gemini ascendant, you're very good at wearing masks. So that feels like another little nod to the tism in my chart. But I do think that's kind of where this is going, is also conversations around neurodivergence as a gift. And I know that this is definitely something that has been prophesized that we'll see in children coming through from 2027 and beyond, like very telepathically inclined children. So obviously, as a result of that, we're going to need more leaders speaking about the gifts of, and it's not to deny the challenges, absolutely, and obviously also where on the spectrum you sit. Something that I was contemplating today is a few things have made it much, I think, more palatable for someone like me to have autism. Firstly, my special interests are popular. They are in the zeitgeist. They are Taylor Swift. They are Noah Kahan. They are musical theatre. That's probably the most obscure one of mine. They are astrology, spirituality, personal development. Like, I am very lucky that my special interests are societally acceptable to a degree. And so rather than the different one label that I think it's still placed on me to a degree, but nowhere near to the extent if my special interest was something a little bit more obscure. So I think that's definitely worked in my favor. I think the other thing is that, and I'm saying this in a way that I don't mean it to sound like it's seeped in any form of arrogance, but when you are, inverted commas, conventionally attractive as someone with neurodivergence, I think that also works in my favor, where I'm not othered. And it can be, I've actually been delivered content before that's like, it can be fetishized. Like, I mean, I've never dated before, so I don't know, but some of the autistic content creators that I see have said that it can be like this fetish, like, I'm looking for a girl with a bit of the tism, which is very offensive. But yeah, it's this two ends of the coin. It can work in your favor where people treat you better than other autistic people. And at the same time, they can also question how autistic you actually are, because it doesn't feel like it's real with someone who looks like me. So anyway, that was a roundabout way of saying, I think these conversations are going to be had a little bit more, and they're not ones that I want to shy away from, because when I do, that's a form of masking, and that's a form of me pretending that this doesn't occupy my life, which it does. And the whole reason I got a diagnosis was to show me and teach myself how to show up better in a society that has felt, unsafe to be the odd one out, the different one, the one who's energetically sensitive. I actually bought myself a weighted blanket last week, first day of Taurus season. Oh my God, I'm doing another thing, guys. I almost forgot to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, I'm so excited. Okay, so first thing I did, I bought a weighted blanket from Woody. They were having a Mother's Day sale, so I bought myself a present. It's chocolate brown. It's 9 kilo weighted blanket. It arrives any day. I'm so excited. Second thing is, thank you if you voted in the poll around noise cancelling headphones. I've gone no to the loops. Everyone was like telling me loops, and then I went on the Loop website and it just specced me out. So I'm going to get Bose ones when we go to Fiji next week. Oh my God, I'm going to get them duty free. Very excited about that. So I'm definitely, after I had the shutdown last week, I realized, hang on, Holly, this can't be a loop thing where I exert energy, I go into a shutdown, I do nothing to help myself, I listen to Noah Kahan, I get sad girl, and then I have to pull myself out. It's like, no. I need to have like the weighted blanket, the headphones, so that I can quickly drop into what my nervous system needs and then hopefully bounce back a lot quicker. There are homeopathic remedies I can take to support my nervous system sensitivities and these things as well. Obviously, it doesn't eradicate something like autism, but it helps soften the symptoms. So that's what we'll be looking at too. Interestingly, there's a correlation between that and a certain illness that I did have as a child. So I'll talk about that in that episode. Two things. No, one thing. The exciting thing I'm doing, and this is definitely all of this Aries over my 10th house MC. This is not for work. This is purely for joy. Okay. So when I was sick the other week, you remember that I said that I was like in a rabbit hole of like food reels and foodie critic content. And it's mainly people based in the States. And I'm just obsessed with it. Like it calms me down. I love watching people try food and being like, yep, this is great. Yep, this is great. Like the amount of reels I've watched that are like 10 hotspots to visit in Miami. Go and eat here. It's like, do you like my accent? Or it's like New Orleans, 50 great places to eat. And you just watch someone eat like at all the different places. Love it. Live for it. Tell me more. I'm never going to go there in my life, but I want to know where to eat if I do. So it planted a seed a month ago when I was unwell and I was bedrotting, and I'm like, I could do this. I was like, I could do this. Of course she was. And then I was sitting a little bit deeper and I was like, hang on a second. Why don't I do this just for fun? Why don't I do something that's not about me needing to like convert sales or fill my calendar or, make a clickable reel for follower growth so more people book in with me? Like there's this strategy around, content creation. Why don't I just make content for the joy of it on a different account? Doesn't even need to have my name. Like, why don't I do that? And I spoke it out with Trent at his birthday dinner because we're both foodies. You guys know this. We are also food critics. We are also highly critical of food. And I was sitting with him at dinner. I'm like, oh my God, the amount of people that would come up to the Northern Rivers and never go to Capiche, which is the restaurant we were at in Ballina. Like they'd stick to Byron. They would never venture out to Capiche. It's one of the best Italian spots up here. It never fails. And then I was like, babe, I have this little like whisper of a dream where I just like try different food up here and then make reels and then just post it. He's like, why not? And then I was sitting at the dinner. I'm like, it would be so fun. Like, because I know, guys, I've lived here almost 6 years now. Pretty sure I did an article on it in Mamma Mia a few years ago. And you guys ask me all the time. You're like, I'm coming up to Byron. Where should I go? What should I eat? I'm like, why don't I just do it? There's an account I follow. She's great. She's called Byron Bay Eats, but she does static posts. No one really does the trying food reels. So I'm going to do it. And anytime I go to Sydney, I'm going to go to my favorite spots that I love to eat. Like content coming out of my ear holes, fun content that I'm just going to share. So I initially wanted to call it Taurus Rising because I just thought, well, that's so Taurus Rising coded. Even though I'm not Taurus Rising, I'm just like, that would be cool and it's a nod to astrology. And then the platform was taken. And so then I was like in the bath ordering the weighted blanket. This is how it's all connected. It's like, okay, let's work with like Venusian energy, like goddess energy. Guys, it's called Aphrodite's plate. I didn't have to do any edit. It wasn't taken. The handle wasn't taken. I've claimed it. Aphrodite's plate. She's calling herself Aphrodite. I don't even care. I'm not actually. That's just the gist of it. And it's going to be, I'm probably going to kickstart when I'm away in Fiji because I'm going to do like the food that we eat at the buffet there. I'm going to talk about the trip. And this is me stepping more into the presenter, the mainstream, but mainly with a foodie edge. The thing for me, guys, is remember, yes, I'm a Leo, but I'm a second house Leo. You know the second house? Taurus. Funny that I founded this in Taurus season too, right? You can't make this up. Taurus. Taurus is food, it's pleasure, it's beauty, it's sensuality. That is what this platform is going to be. So feel free to like find it and like follow along. I'm not going to like plug it just yet because there's literally nothing on there, but it's going to be a home for all of my, like, I'm going to do the 4 best steaks in Byron Bay. Like, do the reels. I'm going to do like, here's where you need to go when you've only got 24 hours in town. Here's where you need to eat. I'm going to do like the best pizzas. I'm going to do everything. Where do you get the best strawberry matcha in Byron? Oh, I will try 3 and I will tell you my favorite. Like, I have so many. I go out to eat all the time. It writes itself. Except I went to do it the other day when I got a toasted sandwich takeaway. I won't say where from. And I was like, oh my God, the first content for Aphrodite's plate. And they took so long. I was getting so frustrated. And then when it came out, it wasn't aesthetic. And I was like, this is not going to be my first bit of content. Anyway, it's been a journey. I really didn't think I'd have much to talk about. And I feel like this is one of my longest episodes ever. So maybe I'm just going to leave it there. I hope you guys have had a beautiful long weekend. I am off to Fiji next week. So you will have an episode next week because I'll pre-record it before I go. And then the episode when I get back will be one of the bonus sit down readings. You've got another one coming at your way. That didn't make sense. Coming at you in 2 weeks' time. But you will get a What's the Vibe this week because I definitely feel so much better. I have felt it lift after Uranus has left. I think it was the final squeeze. And that's what I wanted to say just about the friendship thing. It's been really interesting in the last couple of weeks where I've been really connecting with my friends that I know are here to stay and I know have got me. And it's like that rinse out of Uranus moving over my 11th house. If you have Gemini moving over your 11th house, heads up, you're going to have some big friendship cleanups. And it's really fucking hard at the time and brutal. And some of them you won't see coming. But especially because I had no planets in Taurus and it still really worked me. But on the other side, I can look around at all the people in my life, all the people messaging me on my phone, all the people that I'm talking to Noah Kahan about. And I'm like, you guys are here to stay. And it's a really safe feeling. So I'm definitely grateful for that. All right, guys, have a beautiful Monday. And I'll be back in your ears midweek with your What's the Vibe?